Hello, welcome to the week that was in the first week that is 2018. An explosive start. In Iran, the anti-government protests continued. More than 20 people are thought to have died in the unrest. After starting in the second city, Mashhad, they swept across the country, including the capital, Tehran. The geographic spread alarmed the authorities, and so did their nature. What began as an economic protest quickly became demonstrations against the regime and even against the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. That crossed a red line. Iran's foreign adventures were also criticized. One chant was "Leave Syria," another "Not Gaza, not Lebanon, my life only for Iran." The authorities quickly organized fairly large pro-government demonstrations, even as they cracked down, and they appear to have a handle on the situation. However, they will have been shaken. The social contract between the Islamic Republic and its people is clearly under strain. Somewhere in a building on the South Korean-North Korean border, a phone rang. It was North Korea. The South calls twice a day, no answer. Now the North had rung the South for the first time in 2 years. A 20-minute conversation ensued. This might be the beginnings of a breakthrough. Then again, it might be the North playing nice ahead of the pressure about to be brought to bear on them by the USA. The phone call wasn't a talk about talks, but it was a talk that could lead to talks about talks, and it's good to talk. But it's not always good to tweet. North Korea's Kim Jong-un had made a speech in which he claimed to have a nuclear button on his desk.
The entire United States is within range of our nuclear weapons, and a nuclear button is always on my desk.
US President Donald Trump immediately pressed his keyboard and tweeted that his nuclear button was bigger than Kim's, and it worked. This was criticized as childish, but then again, Kim did start it. Another day, another tweet. This time he said that if the Palestinians don't come to peace talks with the Israelis, he'll cut off aid payments. Palestinian officials responded this was an attempt to blackmail them. It's worth noting policies bearing some semblance to his tweets do often emerge from what sometimes resembles incoherence. Speaking of which, excerpts from a book on Mr. Trump claimed he'd never wanted to win the presidential race. No, he just wanted to be better known and was horrified when he became president. So was Mrs. Trump. She cried. Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff is a great story, not all of which is backed by evidence. He says it's based on more than 200 interviews, including one with former White House advisor Steve Bannon, but whole private conversations are quoted verbatim. Trump thinks he's got problems? What about Mrs. Merkel? The German Chancellor spent the week preparing for make-or-break coalition talks. The election was in September, but still no government. She won't work with the far-right AfD, but hopes to make compromises with the centre-left SDP. Those compromises will have to come on immigration, health insurance, defence spending, and EU policy. Failure means another election, which could mean the end of Frau Merkel. And even if she can form a government, she's weakened. That was the week that was. See you next time.